Hi there. Of course, I had to start with hi there. Sanibonani nonke, good morning, dimacheroni, bonjour, and all of the above. My name is Kura Chihota, and I'm so grateful that you have taken time out to tune into this special edition live stream. Live streaming, I've found, is a great way to reach people where they are, to share very real estate information. For those of you who don't know me, this is the first time perhaps you're seeing me. I'm Kura Chihota, a registered regional property practitioner. I operate out of South Africa, but I take on assignments in Zimbabwe, in Zambia, and in Botswana. So I have been in property education pretty much for the past 10 years of my life. I have lectured property marketing at the University of Pretoria. I have attended property courses in Harvard University in Boston, Massachusetts. And my job is to put as much real estate in as many people's hands as possible to make as big an impact as life. So that's what's my motto, and that's what drives me. So property often has, I'm not going to call them gatekeepers because I've got guests coming through, so I don't want to offend anybody, but we've got gatekeepers. We speak a certain language. We have processes and procedures that the man in the street does not necessarily know or have access to. So the man in the street can be as simple as a first-time person coming to the market to buy a home for the first time. It can be the CEO of a multi-million-dollar corporation. So no discrimination on that basis. So I am here in Bulawayo. I had a fantastic masterclass with the team here in Bulawayo. We were walking through land development processes so that somebody can really understand what it is to own land, to develop land, to have property. And we looked at all the aspects. Do I do it in my own name? Do I put it in somebody else's name, a company, a trust? We did all of that. But because I was here and because I always want to get a very real sense of what is going down on the ground, I've been around and looked at some projects. We'll have Walter Zimunya from King City. We were on the ground looking at huge demand. I have Credence Sitole. He's come through from the NRZ Contributing Pension Fund. They are the giants in the market. So that's institutional capital. It's going to explain to us what's going on here. I have coming through from the brand new shining and they're moving in the market from Chas Everett, Zimbabwe, a franchise that has been brought through from South Africa, but they've decided to set up shop here in Bulawayo. I have Jonathan Thompson coming through and he's going to be telling us what's what. I've got a couple of more surprises as guests come through, but we're going to put them onto camera, and this is out live now on Twitter, on Facebook, and streaming on my YouTube channel. I hope that you're clicking and subscribing on my YouTube channel. But enough jibber jabber and enough advertising. Let's get to the meat of the matter. Let me introduce you to a young man who I have worked with on both sides of the border. We've done deals in South Africa. We've done deals in Zimbabwe. Welcome to you, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you, Kura. It's a pleasure to be here. Welcome to my hometown, to Bulawayo.
I had to have you on, and I had to have you first, A, because you're a youth man, so you can tell me who I should speak to.
Yes.
And then B, you know, you've always got to pay your taxes in the local currency to the local chiefs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, it's a pity I couldn't be at the masterclass yesterday, but I made it in time. I mean, I've been in, 6 cities across Zimbabwe in the last 7 days. So that's been enlightening and fun, yeah.
What has been the most enlightening thing for you? Because my car rental company, they must think I'm crazy. Yeah. Because I said I'm driving to Bulawayo, but I have zigged and zagged and stopped in Chegutu and then went to Shurugwi and all the rest of it, but it's okay. Yeah. What have you discovered in your journey in these 6 cities in Zimbabwe?
In Zimbabwe. So look, I mean, maybe just a bit of backstory. As you know, I've been outside the country for about 16 years. I've been doing real estate for 14 years in South Africa. 14 of those years I never came back home. And I kept hearing this, Zimbabwe is open for business, Zimbabwe is open for business. When I got here, I certainly did see reflections of that. You know, so much has changed on the landscape. I mean, I was in Gweru, which is the city I was born in. I made my way to Chitungwiza, spent a lot of time in Harare, and so many buildings have just been repurposed entirely. A number of foreign brands, especially from South Africa, are operating out of Zimbabwe now. A few of those I represent or work closely with. you've got your Hungry Lions, you've got your La Parada. Honestly, when I was in Harare, it felt like I was back in Cape Town or Johannesburg. So it's a different place altogether now.
Fantastic. Where are the Zimbabweans, in your view, getting the money to be spending like this?
Look, we're hard workers generally. You know, a lot of people are specializing in mining. The mining sector has been doing exceptionally well. You know, telecommunications and IT with AI coming up. So you've got people really operating businesses. You've got people really playing the agricultural journey and making money out of that. And certainly real estate from prehistoric times has always been a mode of making money. You know, people buy properties, they rent them out, and they make income from that. But I think a lot of the money that's circulating in Zimbabwe, or that's actually triggering some of these deals, is coming from outside Zimbabwe. A lot of Zimbabweans have now started to say, you know what, it's time to invest back home. Gone are the days where I used to primarily deal with Zimbabweans all over the world, and their primary focus was buying properties through us in South Africa. And now that conversation has changed, because they're certainly saying, you know what, things are good back home, and you've got people from the UAE, from America, from you name it. They're all now coming back home, investing here, because they would like to move back home. Yeah.
So I tracked those numbers quite something. I think our diaspora remittances are hitting about 2.6 billion.
Yeah.
And for the first time, the UK is up there with South Africa. We think most people who are sending money are sending it from South Africa. It's actually now the UK.
It's now the UK.
Then that money finds its way into BRICS.
Yep.
What is the most common requested product? When you're talking about a diaspora looking at investing back home, what is the product that they're looking for?
So the asset class that they're definitely really targeting is residential, because they would certainly like to, I think the lifestyle in whichever country that they're currently resident in is not entirely 100%. Home is always home, and they envision coming back home, but they would like to come back to a product and an offering that's quite similar to what they're already used to in the UK and so forth. So I'm sure you've seen the design style, which I'm sure Walter will touch on, has really developed, because our product offering is now similar to what the UK has. West Prop has gated communities that are entirely built to great spec, that also play or tie in with some technological elements that are provided there. So residential is certainly what the diasporans are looking into, but you do have a small segment of people that want to diversify. So they're buying a bit more commercial properties, or they're repurposing commercial properties to be able to house businesses, because you know those are also leases and tenants that you know you can keep for the long run.
So let's keep it really simple. What does repurposing mean? What is that about?
So repurposing is looking at a property that's been designed to fit a certain purpose, let's call it for people to live in, and saying how can we then restructure this so that businesses can actually work out of that.
Okay, so you change the use of a physical structure to, because market conditions change over time, you're now addressing it. We've had it in Sunning Hill in Johannesburg, the big PwC building. Used to be offices for PwC, now converted to 700 apartments and rented out.
Correct.
Okay. So if I've got some commercial property and I've got big vacancies, is this something I should be considering?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and we've seen this. I think the one thing about the Zimbabwean market, we're quite privileged to be able to look at other countries that are better developed than we are and see some of the trends and commonality routes that they've taken. When we were hit by lockdown, the office mode changed. You know, workforce is different now. Remote work is a thing. I've certainly been talking to a number of people in Zimbabwe that are also doing remote work, so they're working from home. So gone are the days of needing a high-rise office to have all your employees work out of. So that now sits as dead space. And you know, if it's sitting as dead space, it means the landlord or whoever has invested in that particular structure or asset is not getting return on investment. So you certainly have to look at ways of repurposing, either to completely change it from the office retail sort of style and see best how to convert it into residential, because people are looking for homes, people are looking for affordable homes even more, or maybe it's a mixed use development or building that you can make it into. By mixed use, I mean you have a bit of resi in there, people living in that building, and then maybe you have some eateries and restaurants in the same building, and perhaps some hot desking and co-working spaces and office space, and all of that to the effort of ensuring that whatever income is derived from that building plays into real estate, it plays into the return on investment for investors, which then also encourages them to keep pouring in money into other investments. And that's how certainly the property sector develops and grows from there. Yeah.
Okay. So our viewers sitting at home, wherever they are in the world, want to know what is the return on investment. There is a narrative, and if I had just $1 for every time somebody posts on my X feed, Zimbabwean properties are overpriced. Right?
Yeah.
What is the return of investment if we are overpriced? What can people expect from buying a house, kokasi, or in the suburbs or commercial? What sort of returns of investment? Yield is the rent over the value of the property. What sort of returns are we looking at achieving?
So, I mean, as a percentage, this will vary area to area, to be very honest. So, if I were to give something very generic, it may not specifically apply to an area. But you're looking at ROIs from anything from 4% to as high as 15% onwards.
And in Zimbabwe, we deal in Zimbabwe Zig Gold, Zimbabwe dollars.
Okay.
Yeah. And where does the US dollar factor in? Because we've got internationals watching this. Where does the currency issue factor into that investment return calculation?
So it factors in from, I mean, it's a stronger currency, number one. So, you know, it doesn't fluctuate as much as other currencies would. So they've got stronger buying power when they convert or when they look at their earning potential, because there are two aspects that we need to look at. Because one, there's a person in America earning in US dollars, and then there's us in Zimbabwe using and trading in US dollars. But the earning potential,
I like that differentiation. Yeah,
the earning potential is different. Why? Because the job market in America or anywhere else will translate to a higher USD earning potential and power, whereas in Zimbabwe it will be different. So those people coming in now will certainly look at a market like Zimbabwe and say, you know what, that's viable, that's feasible, and it's certainly a way to inject money for them to get something out of. But another, just to go back to something else you touched on in terms of ROI, you mentioned Gokasi and the burbs and that comparison. What favors higher return in investment, Gokasi, is the fact that Tinejema back room that we used to do. You know,
yes.
I mean, I was at my granny's house in Gweru yesterday. Yes. She'll always have student teachers who are renting out some of our rooms in the cottage, etc., etc. That's something that we've been doing for a very long time as Africans, as Zimbabweans. It's very common to us, and that actually increases the amount of money that you can get. So the multi-let strategy works essentially well when you're looking at ROI. And by ROI, it's just return on investment. So the amount of money you've put in, your capital injection into a certain asset acquisition in relation to whatever you get as your returns. So your rentals less your expenses for the viewers that are not too versed with ROI. I know we keep throwing these abbreviations about.
You have practiced on both sides of the Limpopo.
Yeah.
How is buying a property in South Africa different than buying a property in Zimbabwe?
So no bias, because I practice on both sides. I earn on both sides, which is great. But I think the legalities here and there will differ. Also, any compliances that we need to have. So one thing for sure, for anyone buying in Zimbabwe, you've got certain taxes that you need to be mindful of. Going into it blind is very dangerous. In South Africa as well, we've got SARS and everything, and you know,
SARS is Zimra.
SARS, so SARS in South Africa, Zimra in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
The differentiations there would be maybe the percentages, etc., right? But I think the key take home for our viewers at home is to just be aware and knowledgeable and be well informed of the implications of trying to deviate. Because if you just don't want to if you don't comply with certain things, you attract trouble.
Right. For me, the biggest difference, right, is in Zimbabwe, it is not unusual for a $300,000 transaction to be done in cash. Somebody walks into the office, you've got a money counter on the side, it goes grrr, and the money gets paid, right? When people are buying in Zimbabwe and they're buying in South Africa, and I've done about 26 deals with investors buying in South Africa, the compliance, right? So your sale agreement is going to run 28 pages versus in Zimbabwe 2 pages. Buyer, seller, property, price, done. The South Africans will then need very strong FICA compliance, Financial Intelligence Center Act. So you can't just drop 500,000 Rand or 100,000 Rand into an account without explaining. So you've got to explain to the Zimbabwean, on the Zimbabwean side, yes, you can have $50,000 in cash in Zim. You can transfer it outside of the country before you need to get a tax clearance out of Zim. You are allowed by the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe to transfer 50,000 US dollars per taxpayer per year without any explanation. If you do more than that, you then need to have an explanation. I've done transfers where people have combined husband and wife. They got a Reserve Bank clearance and off you go. So that money has a trace. So when it comes through to South Africa, you've got to explain in Zimbabwe, I had it and I sent it from this bank to this bank. This business of just popping up money in South Africa is a huge, huge risk.
No, it's a huge risk. I mean, in my past, 10, 11 years, I've done about just over 750 property sales in South Africa. And just a mere few in Zimbabwe. But in the 750, I mean, a good 80% of those were probably mortgage deals. So you're absolutely right. The cash side of things is more prevalent in Zimbabwe as a market. But one other element when you touched on husband and wife that I'll just briefly add on, which personally I've seen is more common in South Africa as opposed to Zimbabwe, is Jema crowdfunding. In South Africa, it's not abnormal now to have people huddle together as 5, 10, even 20, people coming together and saying, you know what, let's actually put our monies together and plug it into a property acquisition. Whereas in Zim, again, I stand corrected, people tend to want to just do, Jema 1-1, just to say, I just want to do this by myself, keep it hush-hush. So I'm going to save up until I have enough capital, because the politics around it or the risk element involved, etc., we're very risk averse in Zimbabwe. And in South Africa, I guess because it's the bank's money and it's not necessarily your hard cash, they tend to be a bit more lenient with a few things.
I like that. So I've been researching, and late in this year, I actually did a paper which I presented to the Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority in South Africa. We were talking about using the Stokvel model to build back rooms in South Africa, where we put together $200 a month, $500 a month, and that builds back rooms on properties, which creates an asset that gives a cash flow. So we're building up equity, we're increasing cash flow, and we're doing it on a collective basis. When I tried to flip that model to this side of the Limpopo, there's certain legislations. So a Stokvel is not as easy and as simply regulated as it is in South Africa. South Africa Constitution, Kura, Brian, Walter, and Credence can open a bank account with Nedbank tomorrow. Done. In Zimbabwe, we typically follow under the Reserve Bank, because if you're taking people's money, they're going to ask you, are you deposit taking? Then the workaround, and I looked at it on the RBZ website, is to be registered as a cooperative under the Ministry of Small Business. I keep forgetting the proper names on different sides of the river. So you form a cooperative, and then you can act like a Stokvel, and again, under the legislation, it's called a savings and credit cooperative, and then you can do that. So in Zim, the legislation exists.
That actually governs that.
I've got some young partners, very exciting stuff coming through. They have got an asset management license, and the asset management license is allowing them to do blockchain. So we're going to be doing and the first time I'm talking about it publicly, is we're going to be doing a crowd fund to raise money that Brian can come with his $10, Kura can come with his $100. We're going to buy a stand, build a house, and then sell that complete house. Hope to make a decent margin. So you will have come in and participated, but in the participation, you'll have gone through all the processes. When you're buying a coin within a crowdfunding platform, it's exactly as doing a syndicate. If brothers were doing it, we had inherited property, but Zim can never be left behind, and we just got to keep pushing the envelope.
Yeah, we certainly must. Yeah.
So tell me about Bulawayo. What is it? What's its flavor? Northwest, southeast. Why are all those areas very different? Nkuluman is very different from Hillside. Hillside is different from Burnside. Burnside is different from suburbs. What's the vibe?
So Bulawayo is different in the sense that I think people they hold strong sentimental value. Sorry, they hold strong sentimental value to whichever area they live in. Bulawayo and Gwera are probably classify as one. You know, if your grandmother or your relatives were in a certain area, you certainly want to keep that community-ness. You want to keep that bloodline in that area. So a number of people don't necessarily jump ship from suburb to suburb. Yeah. They'll rather just grow and acquire more assets within a certain area. And so Bulawayo, how Bulawayo differs from Harare is Bulawayo's trends, everything, style, way of life is more influenced, is strongly influenced by South Africa as opposed to age.
Sure.
Harare has more influence from overseas countries.
Okay.
I mean, that's starting to balance out and change of late, but for a number of years that used to be the trend. So now Gokasi is not seen as, to live in Ogokasi doesn't justify that I'm rich or poor. It's just because Gokasi is where home is. You know, it's a lifestyle. It's a language we speak, and it's the originality element that we have. So that's Bulawayo's flavor. And sorry, I said Bulawayo. It's Bulawayo. I'm Shona, so pardon me. Sure. And then when we look at the CBD, however, I certainly feel the CBD has lots of potential. I mean, one thing for sure, we've seen a number of South African food brands that are expanding and popping up. Kura and I.
Rocco Mamas,
we've got
Spur,
Mozambique.
Nando's, Mozambique, yeah.
And in Harare, we've got a whole lot more. And you know from our recent conversations and clients that we're dealing with, that most of the brands, I won't necessarily name them now, but most of those brands are looking to finally expand into Bulawayo. Because maybe as proof of concept, Harare has done its part and it's time for us to play the field now. And I definitely do feel we have lots of buildings where that repurposing that we touched on could certainly be adopted. A lot of people would still love to live in the CBD, to cut on transport costs, etc., because it is an economy that's difficult to live in. Trust me, the ordinary Zimbabwean is not necessarily living an entirely comfortable lifestyle, right? And by saying that, I feel we do have a lot of buildings that are 3 floors going up that could essentially, maybe the landlords need to navigate or experiment, rather. That's the word I was looking for. They need to experiment and say, you know what, perhaps we would actually do far better if we were to convert this into a residential building to cater for the masses that actually work in town and don't need to be footing such high costs for transport.
I think you've given our landlords and the city fathers here in Bulawayo much food for thought.
Yeah.
Young brother, I appreciate you for coming through and opening up the show.
No,
I wish you great success in all your transactions. And I do have some buyers who are looking for your 200 Rand stock in South Africa.
In South Africa.
So we'll holler off camera.
No,
but Brian Sango,
thank
you, my guy.
You have
appreciate
a good
you.
one.
Thank you very much.
And to the viewers at home, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Cool, dude. All right. So I'm going to keep nattering while I have my next guest, Credence Stole, coming through.
Goodness.
So Brian represents to me young Zimbabwe energy. You've got to go where the opportunities are. We are within a SADC region, so there are rivers between us, but rivers are just rivers. With legitimate travel, with your passport documents, you're able, if you're Zimbabwean, to proper cross to South Africa for 90 days at a time and transact openly and transparently. The cross investment is what excites me. I have a partnership with a South African entity working in Zimbabwe. On the other side, I come down there and introduce Zimbabwean clients. So we're never just a little island doing one thing by ourselves. If we look at our companies on the stock exchange, Simbisa Brands, Seedco, PPC, all of those, you will see that they trade as easily in Pretoria as they do in Lusaka. So let's keep the transactions going forward. Now I'm going to bring through Mr. Credence Stolle. Come on through, Credence. Okay. Good morning. My name is Kura Chihota. I'm a regional property consultant with EXP out of South Africa. But today I'm delighted to be here in the city of Kings. I'm going to have to add city of Kings and Queens. I'm in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. And as a regional property practitioner, I find enormous value when I visit a city to meet the locals, to meet the people who are doing the things. The stuff we can theorize, I can read and write reports from a helicopter view, but absolutely nothing beats being on the ground, being hosted by the people who are doing the things. So if you come into Bulawayo from whatever direction, if you're flying, if you're driving, the tallest building you will see in the city of Bulawayo belongs to the NRZ. And in the NRZ, right on the mezzanine level, you have the NRZ Contributing Pension Fund. And as a pension fund, I have enormous respect for their principal officer, Chipo, and their marketing gentleman here with me today, Credence. These guys work. These guys have the pensioner at their heart. So I thought it would be not a complete conversation without talking about NRZ in Bulawayo. And welcome to the show, Credence.
Oh, thank you very much, and thanks for that compliment as well.
No, look, we Zimbabweans are traumatized, right? Pension funds have been a very difficult and sore space. People have paid hard-earned money across, and then when it comes time to retire, by currency, by asset performance, there's a lot of tears there. So when I see how you guys, it's not a theory, it's not a motto on the wall that we look after our people. When I've seen Chipo receiving pensioners and their queries, and she's literally walking the passage to make sure that monies get paid, I have enormous respect for you and for that.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Kura.
Sure. So tell me what the NRZ CPF is. Describe what that pension fund is about.
Basically, like you've rightly said it out. The National Railways of Zimbabwe Contributory Pension Fund is basically, it was basically established in 1949 with the sole mandate of looking after its pensioners, or the pensioners of the now National Railways of Zimbabwe. How it's structured in a manner that we receive contributions as the employees will be working along the way, and then when they then go on retirement, we invest on those contributions, and when then they go on retirement, we then take care of their retirement life by giving them monthly pension payouts.
All right. So that kind of perspective, you're taking money from the working to look after the retired. I guess property becomes the natural space for you guys to invest.
Yes. Actually, let me put it this way. In a frank conversation, Zimbabwe has gone through several economic spheres and economic chapters along the way. And one thing that has safeguarded our investments is our investments in property. And I also happen to salute our predecessors, those that were with the pension fund way before us. They saw us that to cushion the pension fund from these economic shocks, property is the way to go, and the structure did very, very, very well. And currently, the current management and the current board also has this sharp insight, so to speak, to champion this and also maintain these levels of investments with the value that they deserve.
So Zimbabwe as a country, if we look at the pension fund industry as regulated by the Insurance and Pension Funds Commission, we have about 44% of invested assets being in real estate. As the NRZ CPF, what percentage of your assets are in real estate?
In terms of the figure per se compared to the industry, I might not have the actual figure at the moment to give you, but what we can safely say is we have got a very, very significant investment in properties, and that's in as far as being one of our cash cow investments. The property investments is our largest cash cow investments, followed by other investments, obvious short-term and long-term investments.
All right. Now, on that investment, so as a pension fund or as a real estate investor, you need to do three things, right? You need to protect investments, so you can't lose money by doing silly things. You then want to cash flow, so I've made the investment and I'm getting money on a monthly basis. But then the third thing, and this is what I'm excited about what you guys are doing, is you've got to grow those investments. We were together in Harare about a month ago. You guys have decided to do the Chizi Shopping Center. Tell me about that project.
Basically, Chisipiti Shopping Center is it was one of our properties, and we decided, the management and the board in its wisdom decided to redevelop it, to expand its gross lettable area. And they've done tremendous work in Chisipiti. So if you happen to go to Chisipiti Shopping Center, where Bon Marché is, you see that there is massive construction work that is happening there. And also, the development of the Chisipiti Shopping Center is also not by accident, by the way. Remember, this development is happening along the economic corridor, which is along the Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa Road. There is a lot of development that is happening there. There is a lot of big money that is moving along that corridor.
I like the expression money is moving. I like it.
Yes. So as NRZ CPF, we saw it fit to play our part and develop that space and play our role in the development agenda of Zimbabwe. And that's the story and the brains behind the Chisipiti Shopping Center.
So in Chizi, what's the magic of that location? What were the demographics around it that made you decide to build a 9,000 square meter shopping center there?
As you are aware, the location itself, it's located in leafy and posh suburb of Zimbabwe, if we may call it that way. And to that effect, we have modernized the space such that it attracts our international brands, big brands, and also our local big brands as well. So we've modernized it to see to it that the residents in the north side of Samora, they enjoy a modern or state-of-the-art facility, so to speak. So that's basically what's driving us, what's developing the development of that space.
When I was getting briefed on the project, I understand that you're not just looking at local tenants for local flavor, you've thrown your net across the other side of the Limpopo too.
Yes, we have actually modernized the space to an extent that we can accommodate any international brand of sort, any international brand of repute that you can think of. And as we speak, we've actually set aside a quota to accommodate the international market so that we attract investment both locally and internationally.
I love that flavor. I love that flavor. But you're not resting with just doing Chizi more. I was doing investor relations for your real estate investment trust, Revitas, which for the record was the first registered REIT. It was the second one that listed on the stock exchange, but it was the first to get approval. So to defend value, you decided to do that. Tell me a little about Revitas. Revitas owns about 5 buildings in CBDs. What is your vision on what you're trying to do with that?
Basically, the vision around that is we have our properties. Dynamics are now changing in the industry. You see, you have the high-rising buildings that we have, and also people are trying to move their offices away from the CBD, etc. A lot of things are happening. But we then have these properties that we see and say, how can we repurpose these buildings? How can we fund? How can we repurpose these buildings? And Revitas is coming in to lead us in as far as repurposing those buildings is concerned, but at the same time growing our investment, and at the same time hedging our investment, and at the same time protecting the investment of the pensioner, to see to it that even in the long run we are able to fund the pension bill of our pensioners. And to that effect, on that one, we have buildings that we have identified in Harare, and they are being repurposed, and I will be glad to share that there are buildings that are being repurposed into hotel, and the other buildings also in the plan that are also being repurposed into residential purposes. But for now, the first project that we have, we are focusing on repurposing the building into a state-of-the-art hotel.
And hotels are where the action's at. I know that I can be specific. In Chester House in Harare, you have signed a transaction with Liva, a Dubai-based outfit, and they're going to take up that space. Harare has seen activities in the hotel space. Monomotapa has been sold and bought by the public sector pension fund. The Mikos was sold and bought by Middle Eastern investors. So that hospitality space, they also bought, the same buy of Mikos, bought in Victoria Falls. So I think you're onto something there when you're converting office buildings going into the hospitality space. The hospitality space, I find it attractive because on booking.com, they just take dollars. Yes. So from a currency perspective, your Zim dollar asset that you've held for a long time is now earning very real US dollars.
Yes, and also to add on to that, we must also face the fact that Zimbabwe has been changing. Economically, it is on an upward trajectory. It's growing and it's developing, and so is the tourism industry. Starting with Harare investing in that portfolio, in that hotel, it also gives us the space and leeway to be into this growing industry and play a part in the tourism industry, which is growing. And for us, for me, I could say the board and the management had a vision, had a foresight on that one, and it's coming out very well. So
I like that. I like that. So now, if the bold want to do business with the NRZ CPF, who do they come and speak to? What can you work with the market? If somebody wants to bring an unsolicited bid, perhaps buy a building, perhaps do a joint venture on a building, how are your interactions? What are your procurement processes for people to be able to do that?
So what we've done is we've made it very simple to engage with us. We have decommissioned all the bureaucratic processes that come up with investments. NRZ CPF has got a very open door policy, so to speak. So it's as simple as a phone call away. Just calling us, it's as simple as walking through our offices and have a conversation with us. And also, it's also structured in two ways, so to speak. You can come directly to us. And we also have, on top of that, we also have agencies that we work with. You can go through our agencies, but we are saying, yes, of course, you can go through our agencies. But as the NRZ CPF, we have an open door policy. Just walk through, just engage, give us a phone call. We have departments, we have a whole dedicated team that is on standby to accommodate everyone and also to entertain each and every idea, so long it adds value to our agenda and so long it adds value to the pensioners that we owe an obligation to.
So you are open for business?
We are open for business, 100%.
All right. Bulawayo as a city, what are you seeing product, where it's demanded, where is it short, where is the magic and the opportunity in this beautiful city?
Bulawayo is a very, very interesting city, Mr. Kura. Why I say it's interesting is we first have to look at the demographics to say what are the demographics saying in Bulawayo. This city is predominantly a youth-driven city. We are saying the population is around 670,000, thereabout, the overall population of the city. And we are saying of that 670,000, we are having around 400,000 of that population being between the age of 40 and 65. So it means almost 4/5 of that population is the able-bodied youth.
Yes.
Yes, and they are people of means. So to that effect, it then presents that figure itself, it then presents a market on its own. To say we have that able-bodied, we've got that able market, we've got that market that is able to engage in business meaningfully. And then secondly, Bulawayo is interesting in a manner that it shares very strong cultural ties with South Africa and Botswana. And to that effect, they learn a lot, and there's a lot of some cultural and technological transfers that happen between South Africa and Zimbabwe, between Zimbabwe and Botswana, to an extent that it is also stimulating the design and feel and texture of our buildings and infrastructure. Nice. So you see that in terms of modern structures, you are finding them here, but they are coming through to Bulawayo through this cultural transfer program that you see. So it becomes a very, very interesting city, Bulawayo, so to speak, in terms of property development. So there's a lot to benefit from this cultural exchange activity that is happening between Zimbabwe and Bulawayo and our neighboring countries.
Right. So I operate mainly out of South Africa, and South Africa has 11 official languages. What many people don't know, I always tell my South African friends, is Zimbabwe has 16 official languages, including isiXhosa, Setswana, Sesotho, and people are like, oh, I didn't know that. So yeah, and Venda, of course, yes. Because we're adjacent to one another, languages are going to transfer, and the people are one. Venda's on both sides, Kalanga's on both sides, and Ndebele's on both sides. So it's the same thing. What are you most excited at? And my final question to you, what are you most excited for the NRZ CPF in 2026?
In 2026, in Bulawayo here, like we have said in the previous conversations that we are having, we have properties that we are repurposing. We have properties that we are presenting to the Bulawayo community and the community outside Bulawayo, our international investors, to say we have expansive retail space. Come and engage us. If you want to do retail, come and engage with us in retail space. We have very exquisite office spaces. Come and engage us in the office spaces in Bulawayo. We also have industrial space as well. So Bulawayo is a growing city. And as it is growing, remember also it was also the industrial hub of Zimbabwe. Yes. So as it is growing, as the economy is growing, we also have those spaces as well for those that would want to go into manufacturing, those that would want to set up proper industrial businesses. We have the industry space to give them. So engage with us. But above all, like you said, in 2026, we look forward to the Chisipiti Shopping Center opening that you've said. It's one of our key projects that we have, and we are looking forward to have very, very big business also happening that side. But in Bulawayo here, there is a lot that is happening. Feel free to engage with us.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to put you on camera, so we've got 100 witnesses that I'm invited to the opening, yeah? In Chisipiti.
Thank you very much for that. As soon as the background work is done and finished, and certainly your invitation is guaranteed. And we invite you to be part of this great milestone that we'll be celebrating, and hope to see you there.
Credence, my brother, it's a pleasure to have your passion and your energy, the work that you're doing at a key institution for the nation, looking after our mums and dads, and eventually us when we retire. I thank you for your contribution and coming onto the show.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Cool. So in Zimbabwe, we're always talking about the pension funds. Well, there we had a live interaction with one with an attitude that is different. They're doing things on the ground. Real estate can never be a passive sit back and money comes towards me. You've got to engage. So the NRZ CPF is doing the things where they are creating the new assets that are going to take us forward. On the other side of a very short break, I'm going to have Walter Zimunya. He is with King City, and he has a development that is flying out here. See you on the other side of this very short break. Good morning. My name is Kura Chihota. I'm a regional property consultant with EXP. I trade real estate, I consult, I advise, I speak about REITs, keynote speaker at conferences, and sadly, some people say you're a property influencer. I don't know what an influencer is, but I love talking about real estate, and I thank you for your time and attention. I'm here in the city of Bulawayo, and because I love touching the real stuff, going to see where the projects are, what the CBD looks like, how is retail shopping happening, what are the demographics, I thought no better person to come and speak to us about this city and what's happening on the ground. I have a friend of many years, a big developer. He's going to deny it and say he's just a small guy, but a big developer, Walter Zimunya. Welcome to you, Walter.
Thanks, Kura.
All right.
Always good, always good.
Thank you for giving us some of your time this morning to come through. And thanks for the support yesterday on the Property Masterclass. I'm glad you and the young lady, Stabile, from your office came through. I hope you found value.
No, definitely. You can never stop learning about property. Picked up quite some good nuggets yesterday, and next time you do, I think it needs to be in a bigger venue and call the whole city. Enough knowledge shared there.
Oh, fantastic. I take up that challenge. I'm going to say, preach, Papa, preach, Papa. All right. So tell me a little bit about Walter. Who are you? What do you do? How do you end up here in Bulawayo?
Hey. So, well, I initially trained as a chartered accountant.
I can forgive you for that.
Yeah. Then I joined the Radar Group, where I worked up to as FD. Then we ventured, then we were doing mainly construction products. We were manufacturing bricks, amongst other things. Then we ventured into property development. So we've got a company called Radar Properties. We used to be a property management company, managing mainly our own properties that we use within our group. Then we had land that we then repurposed. Some of this was industrial land. We saw an opportunity to develop it into a mixed-use development, and that's how I end up here looking after that business.
So you are an accountant selling property. I'm confused.
I used to be an accountant, I still am, but I love real estate. And yeah, we've been pushing it a couple of years now.
All right, so you're speaking very modestly. You're saying, oh, we just had some industrial land, and then we just decided to develop it. In your pipeline, in King City, how many stands have you got zoned and approved and are moving on?
So King City is a development, a mixed-use development that we're doing in a piece of land that we've had since the 90s, which is the remaining extent of Woolsgrove. This piece of land is 2,000 hectares east of Bulawayo, just about 6-7 kilometers outside the city. It's in terms of size, stand units, we are developing 10,000 residential stands.
Only 10,000.
Just 10,000. 10,000 residential stands, and because we want it to be sort of a self-contained mixed-use development, in addition to those, we have commercial spaces for shops, offices, we have industrial stands, we have institutional stands, schools, clinics, hospitals. The idea being we want it to be a city, and that's why we've boldly called it King City. What do you name a new city in the city of Kings?
I like it, I like it.
And to date, we have developed about 1,500 of those 10,000, all fully developed, compliant, with title deeds. And we now have people living within King City. So we love the transition. We have now stopped to be a development to being a residential area. We're quite excited about that. Going ahead, we're looking now more at building up the commercial and the institutional side of King City as we continue to roll out the residential side as well.
So a stand looks like a stand looks like a stand. I was highly impressed with Kingsbury. That seems to be a gated community within your broader vision. What's the magic of that location?
So Kingsbury State is, has been a great success. So like I said, within King City, we have 10,000 residential stands. So what we have done is to create smaller sub-communities within King City, and each one has its own identity. So the first development that we did was Windsor Park, which is standalone stands ranging from 2,000 to about 4,000 square meters. That was our first development, and that did very well. Construction is ongoing there. Then the market demanded smaller sized stands. And the market is looking for security, for convenience, a lock up and go kind of setup. We also have a lot of our customers coming from the diaspora. At least 40% of our business comes from the diaspora. Wow. So we went to them, South Africa, the US, the UK, what are you looking for? So especially our South African customers are looking for security, and we also want to give them the same lifestyle that they are used to. Sure. So for a family living in Midrand, in Centurion, in Dainfen Valley, what are they looking for? We want to make sure that when they come from there and come home, they don't feel like home is a downgrade. Yeah. So that then pushed us to up the game, create living spaces that mimic where they're coming from. So we then created the Kingsbury Estate. It's a secure, private gated estate with 500 stands, and I'm glad to say that all of them have been sold, and all these stands come with pre-approved plans so that we just maintain the quality of life within that estate. Zimbabweans deserve good things, right? No, absolutely. So we were together in Midrand. You had come and presented at the Zimbabwe Diaspora Festival. Yes. I couldn't get to talk to you because you were just selling stands. But that gated community is a real thing, right? Yeah. Now, in Zimbabwe, we do not as yet have a overarching national level sectional title or community living legislation. Mm-hmm. In South Africa, in my complex, I know if I don't pay my levy, I'm going to get cut off, the body corporate is going to sue me, and I'm going to be in trouble. Mm-hmm. How have you made sure that you can maintain the very high standards that you've set in Kingsbury as an estate? How do you enforce compliance so that the verges are watered, the landscaping is done, the refuse removal is happening? How have you done that? So you are very right in that. I think it's a concept that Zimbabweans like because it's a fresh concept, but we have to catch up to how do we maintain that lifestyle. So what we have done is that every member of the estate or every homeowner in the estate is a member of the Homeowners Association. The Homeowners Association has a registered constitution, which is also registered with the local authority, so that we ensure that the moment you sign on to buying, you are also signing on to complying with the rules, regulations, requirements of this estate. So besides having that legal structure in place, we try and educate the clients to say, you want this lifestyle, but we all have to come together to build the lifestyle that we want. It's not only on the developer, because while we are still very involved as a developer because we still have another 8,000 stands to develop, at the end of the day, the body corporate or the Homeowners Association is the one that remains to look after this. And at the end of the day, it's the homeowners themselves. So we are trying to get them on board with us so that it's not heavy-handed regulation, but we show you the benefits of compliance. Pay your levies, your gates will work. Your security will work. Repairs, maintenance, everything is up to standard. Because the real thing that people, especially who are looking in those gated estates, what they're looking for is it's a quality of life, is the lifestyle, is the security, is the convenience. And all these things need to be taken care of. And it has to be done by us through levies, through compliance. And then each one of us becomes, we are the owners of this thing. So we've got to look after it. That's how we've done it. And I appreciate that. And can you spread the word that we are coupling, and from day zero, when you get your deed, you must know you've got the right to good things, you've chosen a good thing, but you have the obligation to fund it. Absolutely, absolutely. Right. So tell me about the land development process or the land appreciation, because a lot of our people would love to buy homes, but are not quite there. So we do an incremental housing strategy. I save, I buy a stand, I might put down a deposit. You might give me 18 to 24 months on an installment. Now I've got a stand, you've given me title. You said, go ahead and build. Yeah.
How have prices in the land game changed within your development from your early days to where you are now?
So we started selling stands in King City around 2020. Unfortunately, COVID hit months into us commencing, so we stopped for a bit, went down, but came back. But from that period to date, we have seen a capital appreciation in excess of 50%.
1-5 or 5-0?
5-0.
Unamanga when?
I'm telling you the truth. So obviously, as we came into the market, two things. There was a penetration pricing, but also there's a pioneer premium. So the people that came in right at the beginning, I can tell you that in our Windsor Park development, we started selling stands at $10 a square meter. That now is at $18 a square meter.
Oh, why didn't you phone me, Walter? Yeah?
I did call, you picked up. We have acquitted ourselves well as a developer, the brand King City, the brand Raider Properties, which is the company behind King City. We have tried to acquit ourselves very well, because what we look at is not just land. We look at land as a financial asset. You must be able to trade your land freely. And the easiest way to do that is to have title. So all our land is titled. We give you payment terms. After you're done paying, you get your title deeds. Then you have a real asset that you're holding. And that, even in terms of a pricing point, titled land and untitled land, there's a premium to titled land. So all our land is titled, and we have seen that premium coming in. Like in Kingsbury Estate, we are sold out. We've seen a few of our early buyers already exiting, and they are crystallizing their gains. So the capital appreciation is there, and what we do as a developer is to try and ensure that you have legal ownership of your property. But at the same time, you must have a financial gain. I find that in Zimbabwe, a lot of property, we hold it sentimentally, but also financially, because I bought this property, say for 20,000, but the neighborhood has not done well, and prices have come down to 18, 15. It pains my heart to be able to think of parting with a property at a price point lower than that I purchased it at. Yeah. So we try and make sure that we work with our buyers to ensure that prices are trending up.
Okay. Give me context in general about the demographics, the areas that old money lives in, to build in Kingsbury or King City. That's new money. It's got a different profile. Give me the different flavors of money circulating here in Bulawayo.
So Bulawayo has a lot of old money. Where do they live? Old money, you'll find them in suburbs, in Kumalo, in Hillside, in the main. That's where your old money is. New money is looking for fresh things, and that's where we have projects like King City coming in. First-time homeowners, people that are expanding. So the old suburbs have done well in maintaining their standards, but what we offer is an alternative in that even the old money who are looking at investments.
Yes.
Because look, I think property is Zimbabwe's most favorite asset class.
National sport.
It's a national sport, exactly. So we find that in terms of the demographics, we have new money, young people. Some of the people that I find as buyers, I have to check their dates of birth because, I mean, they look too young. But hey, you've got 20-year-olds buying, you've got people, but mainly it's your late 20s into your 30s who are buying their first homes. So mainly these ones are buying in the Kingsbury Estate, your 600, 800 square meter stand, building a 3-bed, nice neat home, starter homes if you like. Then in that same sort of product range, you also see old money buying investment property. Because like a 600 square meter stand in Kingsbury Estate is 23,000. Old money have access to this. Like, you know, our market does not have mortgages. So old money then has the advantage of savings, other assets to dispose to come and invest. So you also see old money participating. But we also see, in terms of financial demographic, people that are upgrading because King City is premium. So you have people that are coming from your low income areas, buying into the middle income and higher income areas, and people that are moving from middle income areas into the higher income areas, especially with our bigger 4,000 square meter stands. People who are self-actualizing. So we've got quite a spread. And then if I can add, you also find about 40% of our clients are diaspora based.
Right.
So that's mainly your South Africa, the US, the UK, a bit of Australia, a bit of Asia. So it's quite a mix. It's quite a mix, and it gives balance to the community.
Pain points in my life are diaspora communities. St. Kura, we were offered Sabuk deal, and I sent my money, and that's tears all around. Following that, the second one is I sent money to my Mzukuru to build my house. So as a building solution or as a developer, do you have a solution that guarantees that Tafadzwa in London can send money to somebody reputable and have progress monitoring that his house actually is at floor level? Because here in December, when the diaspora fly in, they're going to see a lot of things on the ground that they thought their money was doing but hasn't happened.
I dread December for that reason, because a lot of our clients come, and yes, Mzukuru has not done what Mzukuru said they were doing. But it's normally the Malume, not the Mzukuru. Malume would have lumed the money.
Yes.
So, yes, it's a big pain point. It's a very big pain point, because a lot of our, like I'm saying, 40% of our clients are from there. So what we find is that people in the diaspora want to invest back home, and we have tried to create platforms for them to be able to send payments to us. So in King City, we'll offer you payment terms of between 18 and 24 months. So we, over those 2 years, call it 2 years, we build a relationship with you. So we also try and understand, where are you based? How do you ordinarily send money home? And people in the diaspora are very finicky about the pricing of MTAs, etc. So what we have, number one, we work with a range of money transfer agencies where clients can send us money, and we are able to receive money through MTAs, so that you eliminate sending it through family and friends, because there's a lot of risk in there.
Okay.
So that's avenue number one. Avenue number two, we also work with some local banks who have products that speak to that. So for example, I'll give you the example of CBZ Bank. We work with them. They have their Ziki Cash product,
Yes.
the Ziki More product. That has worked well for some of our clients, because you can transfer directly into our bank account. So it gives the client convenience and cuts out the need to send money to other people. So those are some of the ways. Then in addition to that, we have a construction compliance team that we employ. So what this team does is they go around our clients' properties to advise. So it's a small technical team that's going around every house that's being built.
Wow.
We find that, I'll give you a live example. There's a client of ours based in the US, was sending money to a brother-in-law. So team comes to the office and says, no, we reports we're having a problem with stand X, the quality is not good. We call the client says, no, I'm happy, it's my brother-in-law, he's got my best interests. I had to come to me, I called him up, I said, no, you are in trouble. Then he flew down to Zim. Hey, he was crying in my office. And he said, I wish I'd listened the first time your team called me. So we actually have a team that goes around. And because we've got the clients' names and details on our database, we are able to actually call you and say, things are not going well. So because we also, like in Kingsbury Estate, the plans come from us, so we know how it's supposed to be done.
Yes.
And also our project architects do routine visits to support clients. And we find that that has been very helpful, not only for diaspora clients who are distant, but Kura, you will appreciate that by the time you learn how construction must be done,
Yes.
it's on your second project and you've been bent.
Yes.
And given the financial dynamics, not many of us have the latitude of building a second or third home. So it's that one property and one project, and you've been bent. So we find that construction compliance team that we have has actually been such a big value add to our clients, because they are technical people who can actually advise your construction team on the ground and be able to, if the team on the ground is not responding, we call the client, and sometimes we've asked, no, stop work until the client comes and certifies. And yeah, we've seen very good value being given to clients through that.
No, that's a fantastic value add, and congratulations on that innovation.
Thank you.
Because it's going to be on your record, right?
Absolutely.
You are not the builder, you are not the contractor, but because it's going to be in a state that you're
Exactly.
looking after, so I respect that. What is big and exciting in Bulawayo that our viewers across the world, what would they need to know and hear from you to say, here is Walter in Zimbabwe, what is the magic of Bulawayo?
The magic of Bulawayo is that it's a city on the rise, I would like to say. The economy has changed. Bulawayo used to be the industrial hub. Deindustrialization happened, but I'm seeing recovery in Bulawayo. New industries opening, smaller industries. The informal and the small formal. I think there's a lot of small formal family businesses that are really driving the economy. So, like you say, money is moving in Bulawayo. Money is moving. There's a lot of diaspora inflows. So the character of money in Bulawayo is different. It's, I mean, I've lived in Harare. You don't see Bulawayo's money on the streets like you see in Harare. But the money is flowing. Get on the ground. Get to grips with the people. You will appreciate that money moves. In terms of living, I believe the quality of life in Bulawayo is quite good, up there. I love living here. I invite people even from Harare and wherever to come and live in Bulawayo. It's a growing city. Services are still good. Yes. Services are quite good. And you also have land prices are still quite low.
Yes.
Are very attractive, trending up. We've seen some good upward trend in terms of land prices. But I believe it's the time to buy. So whether you're looking for a home or you're looking for an investment, I believe it's the time to buy. So if you look at a development like we run in King City, we've got stands ranging from 600 all the way to 4,000 square meters. So everyone has a spot. Commercial activity. Bulawayo is still growing in terms of commercial activity. I believe Bulawayo is still short of shopping malls. So even for investors, it's the right time to come into Bulawayo and into King City.
I appreciate that, and I've been entertained by you and other people here in Bulawayo. Smokehouse is fantastic.
Absolutely.
The Spur is fantastic. Mozambique is fantastic.
Absolutely.
When are you going to bring back Cattleman?
Hey, we miss Cattleman, eh?
I need one of those steaks.
I know, eh? Hey, sad thing that Cattleman is closed, but we hope something comes up.
King's Kraal is firing and doing exceptionally well.
Nice, exactly.
Quality
Nice food, nice vibe.
Yeah. I actually prefer this King's Kraal than the one in Bryanston in Johannesburg. it's a lot more homely.
Yeah, it is.
Sure. Walter, parting shots. What would you like our people across the world watching to know about how do you invest safely in real estate in Zimbabwe?
That's a big thing, Kura. That's a big thing because investing in real estate in Zimbabwe is extreme sports. Look, for most people, the investment you make in real estate is your biggest investment.
Yes.
Maybe once in a lifetime, if you are lucky a couple of times. I would put it down to maybe two things: financial safety and legal safety.
Yes.
Legal safety, buy titled land.
Can I do a subbook deal?
Hey, if the subbook is your uncle, yeah.
Should I play in a session? Should I pay $60,000 for a session?
I find it a bit risky, eh?
Okay.
So now that you've given me options, I would say titled land, session, skip a rank and then some good deals if you have to.
Got you. Got you. Got you.
So invest in titled land. There are various options. So there are various options in terms of offering, and good developers are out there. So the second thing, the financial safety. Invest with a developer, because like now, most of the new stock that's coming onto the market is through private developers. Look at the reputation of the developer. Look at the reputation. I don't think we can overemphasize on that. What have they delivered? Because everyone can promise, but look at their reputation on delivery. Don't be told stories. Ask to see the documents. Don't be told there's a parent deed. Ask to see it. In whose name is it?
I'm a deed that could bank. You can't see them.
You know,
Compliance, ichazoita.
Really? Really? Compliance is a big deal.
Yeah.
Look, we like what we do in King City, we make sure that every phase that we do, we get compliance. Because you cannot get to title without compliance. And as a buyer, the compliance obligations are not on you. The compliance obligations are on the developer. And what do we do as developers? You pay us deposits, we go and buy Range Rovers, we go and buy Land Cruisers, and and we tell you that compliance ichazoita. Don't be told stories.
Yeah.
Compliance, I mean, I don't want to say compliance is easy to achieve, but compliance is achievable if you do what your permits demand you to do. And once your developer has not complied, you will never get title, unless if you step into their shoes and become the developer. So I urge our people, don't buy into stories. Title deed, if you are buying from a developer, their reputation, their documentation, where is the title deed, where is the subdivision permit, where is the development permit? If it's compliant, where is the compliance certificate? Has anyone been given title in that development? Those are key questions to ask.
Whoa. Okay, so you've given a lot of rules that are there. For Sipo, who is buying his first property, what is compliance? Why does it matter? What is the difference between cession and titled property? Just give me those two things.
Okay, so if you look at compliance, as a land developer, you are given a permit to develop a piece of land. So it will state you can develop 100 stands in the space. They will measure 600 square meters each. You are supposed to put piped water, reticulated sewer, tarred roads, fire hydrants, etc. Street lights, those are some of the key issues. Endowment is a key compliance issue. Then when you are done with that, the local authority must come and inspect to ensure that you have complied. So what compliance is just to tick off and say you have complied with your development conditions, and you can proceed to get title on the individual stands. And this compliance can only be obtained by the developer, not the individual owners. So that's why for me it is very key. In terms of title deeds and cessions, title deed is the real right. Rights against the world. Unquestionable proof that you own a piece of land. Cession, that's a difficult space to play in, because what cessions are simply is that you are stepping into someone's shoes to be able to do what they were meant to do.
Sure. I love that explanation. Yeah.
And what I find difficult about cessions is that Kura has not done what you are supposed to do, but I'm now stepping into his shoes. But Kura had commitments to other people that I may not be very well aware of. Am I sure that I want to step into Kura's big shoes that or maybe not even big? I've not measured them.
Sure.
That's my worry with sessions. Sure. So personally, my encouragement is title. Seek title property. And don't be told stories. There is enough stock of titled or title-ready properties. If you are short of it, call King City.
And on that, because you've done your own free advert, I'm grateful. Walter, thank you for educating us.
Awesome,
thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for hosting me in this fantastic city.
Absolutely.
I'm grateful for your time and effort.
Thank you very much. Hope you'll be back soon.
I will, but I want to stand back at the old 10,000 price.
Let's talk about that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Walter Zimunya. He's with the Radar Property Group. The Radar Property Group are developers of a brand, King City. They have a plan to 10,000. I've gone and seen at least 1,500 of those. Go to their offices, you see the layout plans, you see the very modern designs that are affordable. They have some green aspects in the building development. But I'm going to take a short break right now. And on the other side of this, I have a doyen of the local industry, Jonathan Thompson, to give us the pulse of the Bulawayo market. I'll see you on the other side of this short break. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kura Chihota. I'm a regional property consultant in the Southern African region. I work out of a Johannesburg office, but if there's a bus, a train, a chicken bus, I can get there. So I'm here in the fantastic city of Bulawayo, Zimbabwe's second city, and I'm talking to the locals about what's going on in the property market here. What are the opportunities? What are the questions that you might have? So I could do no better. Zimbabwe has seen a wave of cross-border investments. On the South African side, they say a lot of Zimbabweans come down, sure, but on the other side, a lot of South African businesses come through as either investors or franchises and are paying particular attention to the real estate space. So in Zimbabwe, as South African brands, we know of Pam Golding, Sif, Rosen, Just Properties, and the latest and greatest to come into the space, we have Chas Everett Zimbabwe, and they opened their offices recently. And I have the man behind the magic here in Bulawayo. A great pleasure to welcome Jonathan Thompson.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So I'm seeing the very long beards. That means you've been here, you own the city. Yes, you've been running the city. Are you the mayor?
No, I'm not the mayor. No, but I did meet with the mayor last week, so we're trying to help them get some properties sorted out as well. But no, I'm not the mayor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now tell me what was the magic or the incentive for a South African band and then B, a Bulawayo office for Chas Everett to be in Bulawayo and trading?
Okay. So, yeah, I started my own firm about 10 years ago. So I've been doing property here in Bulawayo for 14 years. I did about 9 years. My wife and I did 9 years of property management in America before that.
Okay.
So we do have experience in real estate, quite a lot. About 10.5 years ago, I started my own company, Thompson Properties, which focused a lot on property development, predominantly. We worked with Hopeville, which is on the airport road.
Yes.
And we currently are working with King City, which is on the Joburg road. One of the biggest, I think it might be the biggest project in all of Africa. When you Google largest land development in Africa, it gives you a list. King City is not on the list. But if you take number 1 and 2, add the sizes together, it's smaller than King City is.
Wow.
So King City is something like 10 times the size of CBD. So it's a massive, massive project. So we focused a lot on that, and we got to learn on the ground, you know, what does it mean? And the reason I started my firm originally was that we saw so many people losing money in property. And it broke our hearts.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even just bad investments, buying the wrong thing, buying a stolen property, which all of that was true, buying from bogus estate agents, all of these things. But a lot of times it was guys just simply sending money back to the family because they had a house and there was a roofing issue. They'd send $1,000 back to get the roof fixed, and the family would eat some or all of the money. And we took over properties which were in terrible shape, where there was so much moisture inside the building that the structure of the building was now compromised. And this guy had been sending thousands of dollars to renovate the property, and the family had spent very, very little on the property.
Yeah.
And so when we saw that sort of thing, and then we also saw that there were 3 or 4 major developments in Bulawayo that at that stage had been around for 15 to 25 years, and they still hadn't got their people to title deeds yet. And so we started looking into that and trying to understand what is the problem here. And it was obvious. A lot of times it's just development companies failing to fulfill the promises that they made. And so we started looking at people we knew that were going to develop and said, look, can we come in and do these things in a better way? And that was those projects that we started working with. So that was kind of our background. Then some guys from Harare decided they were talking to Chas Everett International. They wanted to get Chas Everett into Zimbabwe. Chas Everett wanted to get into Zimbabwe. If you saw our launch, you might know that the CEO, Barry Davies of Chas Everett, actually spent time in Bulawayo growing up. So he really has a heart for Bulawayo as well. And so they launched in Harare in February this year, and their goal was to launch quite quickly in Bulawayo as well. And one of the things they did, the Harare team did, that I think was very, very wise, was they know that they would rather find a successful Bulawayo team that was already working in Bulawayo instead of trying to export Harare people to Bulawayo. And so they really had a heart to find people that were here on the ground already working successfully in real estate. And they came and talked to us. Originally, it was going to be a full-on merger of our two companies. When they realized how much stuff we did that's not technically under the auspices of the EAC, the Estate Agents Council, we do, like a lot of development doesn't fall under that.
Yes.
And so they decided, no, we must keep our company running because we were producing product, which is land to sell, land that can come with title deeds for sale. And so that's what we've done. So we've rebranded Thompson Properties to be Thompson Developments. So we're doing 90% of the work we were doing before. The only thing we're not doing is the things that are governed by EAC.
Got you.
All of that has been shifted with me as the principal agent of Chas Everett Bulawayo to Chas Everett. So we are, as Thompson Developments, continuing to help like King City develop their stands, but when the stands are sold, they're now being sold from Chas Everett. So gotcha. It's a symbiotic relationship, and we brought in an amazing team. We've got salespeople, property managers, all of them having worked for other firms. We believe in treating our employees well. Maybe it's not legal to say better than anyone else, but we try to do it that way as well. Yeah. And you know, and so we've attracted some of the very best in the industry, and that's what we want to be about. We want to be, as Chas Everett says, we want to be your realtor of choice, and regardless of what it's for. And you know, we also believe in learning. Yep. That I took my estate agent's exams, I think, in my like 40s. Yep. And I can remember writing my exams by hand.
I beat you. I did mine in my 20s. I did mine at age 23.
Almost everybody has beat me. That's the whole point. I started a whole new career at that age.
Yeah.
And, you know, those are handwritten exams.
Yeah.
I hadn't handwritten pages like that for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I had to keep taking breaks just to get my hands to move again.
Yeah.
But we passed, we got our license, and we were able to move forward. So I don't believe it's ever too late. I believe that there's always opportunities, and I believe fundamentally in real estate. And so for me, with King City, we've got clients all over the world, all Zimbabweans, but all over the world. At my Thompson Developments company, we've got a world map, and we try to put a sticker for every person that's bought. Even this morning, I've had a phone call from the States, a phone call from Australia yesterday. But I think that most unusual, we had one from Kazakhstan come in. We've got all over the world. But I think the most unusual one we had come in was they're in Canada, but they're so far up in Canada, they're actually in the Arctic Circle. And I couldn't believe that we have Zimbabweans in the Arctic Circle. And I said to these guys, why the Arctic Circle? You know what I mean? As for Zimbabweans, that's as far away as you can get to what home is.
Yeah.
And they said, no, the company offered them, the higher they went, the more money they could make. Wow. So they decided to go as high as possible, stick it out for a couple of years to make some money.
A very Zimbabwean mentality, follow the money.
But what we're also seeing is, we're seeing this, it's a concept I'm trying to sort of get my head around. The whole idea, the original idea of Kumusha was, you know, you worked in the city, but you had a place where the cows were, where Mboya was at, and the cousins tending to the crops, whatever. And every school holidays, you'd be there. And then it got to a stage where you didn't really go very often, and the families started having a thing where kids were born and raised in, say, Bulawayo, and then they went away to school in South Africa or England or wherever. And I think Kumusha has changed to, for those guys, Kumusha is Bulawayo. It's not in the bush. And we're finding so many of them their kids have been born and raised overseas. They've never seen Zimbabwe, but the parents, their hearts are still here. And so they're investing back here, they're building homes. A lot of times we're managing and releasing them out until they retire. And then when they retire, their full intention is to come back and live here in Zimbabwe, a lot of them in Bulawayo. So we love that. We love that idea.
So I'm hearing real estate doing two things. One, it's a financial investment. Number two, it's some sort of retirement planning. And then 3, it's also a lifestyle going along with that. Is that accurate that this vehicle is being used to do all of those things?
Yeah, for sure. That's true. If you look at the richest people in the world, there's nobody who's rich who doesn't have land, and so, or property. So to me, any plan you have to become wealthy includes property at some stage. And in this country where we've been, I've been here for, my first time I ever came, the Zim dollar was equal to the US dollar at the rate of 5 to 1. And then we went through hyperinflation, we went through all of those things. The guys who had pension funds, a lot of them lost all their money. Yeah. If your money was in the bank, you lost all your money. If your money was in investments, a lot of those guys made money, but when you actually came down to the dollars and cents, they didn't make very much. The only guys who actually did okay were the guys who kept properties. And even when 2008, 2009, with the complete crash of money, the Zim dollars, guys who owned properties, some of them sold their properties after the fact and made 10, 12 times the money. And so it's always been a safer investment, long term. But what it is more than that, I think, it's an investment in your community. I think one of the very terrible things that have happened in our country is, let's say you've got a young guy, 25 years old, whatever, done some university, trying to find some work. If he gets and he's renting a place somewhere, if he gets a phone call that says, hey, come to the UK this weekend, I've got a job for you, he'll pack up his bags and go. And Zimbabwe then is poorer for it. We lose the guys that should be helping build our country.
Yep.
If the guy owns a house, he's not near as quick to pack up his bags and leave. So it helps root him into our community and gives him roots here. And so to me, I think property owners tend to create more people that keep a long-term view of what the community is. And so, and also, I don't agree. I think it's very prevalent in Zimbabwe, this belief that you have a bunch of kids and when they're older, they'll take care of you in your old age. For me, I look in the scriptures. Proverbs 13:22 tells us that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children and his children's children. And so I think for so long we've had it backwards, that we want to eat what our kids are producing.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should be doing that. I think we should be building platforms that our children, instead of starting from here, they can start from here. And but I mean, there's lots of difficulties. You've got to get started. I mean, I never owned a single property in my life until I was in my 40s. So once I got into the industry and I was making some money, I started putting money away every month for property. Yeah. And I own 7 or 8 properties now. But for me, it took making some money, starting to put stuff away every month. And there's times when my wife would say, she knows that I've made the last payment on her property, and she'd be like, oh, great, we can now breathe because we don't have to make the payment anymore. And I'll say to her, but I've already started another one a month ago. So for me, that's the best way for me to save, is just to continue developing. Yeah.
So how is your mindset for the generation that's going to follow you? You can't live in 8 houses. You've got 8 properties. I don't know if they're all commercial or residential. You can't live in all of that. What is your mindset for this as an asset of value? How does the next generation interact with your hard work?
Yeah. So, like, one of the things I think I'm going to do for my own kids is I'm probably going to put my properties into a trust, number one. But I think that we've got to keep in our mind that when you buy your first property, if you live in that property, that's not an asset, that's a liability. Yeah. And we don't really create assets until we start buying a second and third property, because they have an ability to create rental incomes, or they also have an ability to create appreciation and value. And so I've looked at a few things. So for me, I believe that your job, your properties, your money, I believe all of those things are tools. I don't think that they're meant to be, I don't believe in living like a flashy life. Yeah. I'd rather put money, I'd rather impress my family than impress everybody else.
Sure.
Right?
So it's not your VX that's outside?
No.
Your Lexus V. Oh, okay,
No,
sorry.
it's not mine. And I mean, I've got a decent car, but it's not. I've got a decent car, but it's respectable, if you might say.
Sure.
And so when I see that there's too many people out there, and we were trying to put together an advert, and we were trying to do it in a way that it maybe came across a bit cheeky, but we were looking at an advert to say, why are you owning Land Rovers and Land Cruisers, but you're not a land owner?
Ouch.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we see a lot of places where some of the schools here, you'll see the fanciest cars pulling up.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk to people and find out that a lot of them have no property whatsoever. And so I tell younger guys, you can buy a new phone every year. You know, if you buy the latest phone every year, it costs you, what, a couple $1,000 a year?
Yep.
2-3 years of not buying a phone is enough money to buy a decent car,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
And 2-3 years of keeping the same car and not buy it starts to become enough to put down a deposit on a house.
Yes.
And so, you know, you can go and buy the latest thing, which is easily stolen, easily broken, easily lost, loses value as soon as you buy it.
Yes.
But it might impress your friends. Or you can take and consciously put that money aside for your future and for your kids' future by investing in property. There's a philosophy I think I invented. I haven't heard anybody put it the same way I have, but I believe in what I call the philosophy of relentless pursuit.
Yes.
If you want like the nicest lawn, right, and you just have dirt, you can, every day when you go home, you can find a blade of grass somewhere, you can pluck that blade of grass and you can plant it at home.
Yep.
Okay? You don't have to have any money, you don't have to have any skill. If you want a perfect lawn, you can achieve it one day by doing it like that. Okay? So there's no excuse not to have it one day. Is it the most effective way? Maybe not. But if you do something, if you relentlessly are pursuing something in your life, you will get that thing, whatever that is. But the problem is too many people set their goals so low that their main goal is to have the latest phone, the latest car, or whatever it is. And there's nothing wrong with having those things, but to me, set up your family first. And then once your family's set up, then decide what you want to do with what you've created. So I think we need to help our kids and get a long-term view on how things should go, and learn how to create real value in their life. Not just, you know, you can look flash, but if you look flash and you've got no money, what's the point?
Yeah.
To me, I don't get that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, when we're talking about creating value, creating stands, doing land development, what have you found have been the challenges in this environment?
Yeah, so obviously we've got sort of there's a big discrepancy between the rich, your middle class, which maybe your middle class doesn't even exist anymore, I'm not sure, and your poor. And so for the poor to get into property is difficult. It is difficult. But there are ways to do it, but it is difficult. I've got nephews that in their 20s already were homeowners in Australia. But when you look at it, my parents were homeowners, and I'm doing this for a reason, that they didn't own the home. The bank owned the home. They paid a mortgage. So you could go in, you could sign a mortgage, and for 30 or 40 years you're paying on a house. I don't remember my parents, in my mind, ever getting to an end of a mortgage.
Yes.
So in my mind, I don't know that my parents ever owned a property.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of places out there, the mortgage facilities aren't available readily.
Sure. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you on that. When people say if you've got a mortgage, you don't own the house.
Yeah.
I say you do.
Okay.
Right? In Zimbabwe, anywhere else in the world, the risk and profit is with you. The capturing of that risk and profit depends on you having satisfied the person who's lent you the money, right?
Yeah.
So if the property halves in value, the mortgage stays the same and you've lost money.
Yeah.
If it doubles in value, that's entirely yours. You are owning it, operating it, putting in a tenant within terms and conditions is entirely you.
Yeah.
So the property is yours, and I didn't want to leave that unchallenged.
It is yours, but which would you rather have? Would you rather have a house with a mortgage that you owe the bank 80% of the value, or would you rather own a house free and clear?
Oh, that's now a preference issue, but
but
it's yours. The deed is yours.
Yeah.
It's your asset. Because
it is an ownership issue too. The Bible tells us that the borrower is slave to the lender. And so, you know what? in the States, we've seen guys get mortgages
Yeah.
and the rates change.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, and you know what, I'll tell you what happens in mortgages a lot of times, and I'm not saying mortgages are not a thing to do.
Yep.
I think that we've got mortgages available on high density stands in Plumtree.
Yes.
So that's a brand new product we're offering at Chairs Everett. So it gives a guy a chance to come in with a much lower monthly payment
Yes.
and get into at least getting a stand.
Yes.
But, you know, like I've seen in the States especially, guys, they will come in and they will fudge the numbers a little bit and they will say, okay, we can afford $1,000 a month. And so then all of a sudden the numbers are coming out, it might be $1,100 a month. And what's the first thing? Okay, if we don't go to Starbucks, save that $3 a day, the extra $100 is that.
Yeah.
And then when the math comes out, it's actually $1,300 a month.
Yes.
Right? Now they're struggling from day one.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And so the thing is that somebody has got the ability to pull the rug out from under you while you're under a mortgage.
Okay.
So for me, I'm not saying you don't own it, but I'm saying you're not the only owner. You're a part owner. Maybe we can agree on that. But I'd rather see guys get free and clear. Because, you know, you don't want to leave your kids a mortgage, you want to leave them a property.
Sure.
Yeah.
No,
So,
I'll subscribe to that.
Yeah.
I think different jurisdictions have different capacities. So in South Africa, I was telling Brian where we've done transactions together, I was selling a development and the development was started pre-COVID
Okay.
and the world shook. So people who had qualified for mortgages at that stage lost jobs, relocated, chose not to live in a high-rise apartment, whatever it is, and they fell off the track.
Yeah.
What we then had is 26 Zimbabweans deciding to buy in South Africa, and they came with cash, and it was a freehold. So in South Africa, a lot of people can qualify for mortgages, and the
100%.
finance is available,
Yeah.
and it's affordable if your paperwork is clean. In Zimbabwe, our banks have a 2030 issue where they don't want to lend long term, so our mortgages
100%.
are 5 years,
Yeah.
not even getting to 10.
Difficult, very
And
difficult.
So they're horses for courses.
Yeah.
And my final point is on this mortgage topic is that I do not believe that there is a Zimbabwean who has borrowed money on a mortgage and has lost in the past 20 years.
No, they haven't. But that's why the banks have made it harder and harder to borrow.
Sure.
Because, you know, with some of when a lot of the debt was erased, you could say,
Yes.
the banks lost out. I'm assuming somebody had to lose out.
The
And so that's
depositors and the
why the
bank.
banks won't loan the money on long term like they used to.
Yeah.
Because of the rules can shift. And even if you're trying to sell and you try to give somebody a long-term terms, you know, there's a risk involved. And so all of those things have got to be
Sure.
added and subtracted from the attractiveness of the deal. And but it would be nice if we had proper mortgages that you could get into. And then I think what it does is creates an ability for people to get into properties earlier, which would be fantastic. We would love to see that happening. As a matter of fact, my first deal I ever did in Zimbabwe was a mortgage, and back in 2011, when there was almost no mortgages available. And even when I met the client and they told me they had a mortgage offer, I remember the guys in the firm saying, don't even waste your time.
Yeah.
But I did, and it actually worked, and we got paid. And so the first house I ever sold in Zimbabwe was on a mortgage. But since then, I haven't done very many, because there's just not that many available.
Sure.
And it would help the housing industry if it were. I mean, they say that we've got between 100 and 200,000 people on the city council waiting list trying to buy stands, you know. That number shifts from time to time, but it's always around that 140,000 number.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people trying to get into the market, and through that one access, and which shows that there's a need for more development to be done. There's a need for developments to be done properly. You look at some places like Mahachula, nice houses, lots of lovely houses, and the roads are shocking. And when it rains, you can't get your house. So
As different from Shula East, which is absolutely gorgeous.
is it? Okay.
Yeah,
I haven't,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, you see what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
Those things, the development should have been maybe monitored a bit better, done a bit better. Because, you know, we don't need just a house. We need a road, we need
Absolutely.
water, we need ZESA, we need all of the things that come with a house. So servicing is such an important thing. as well as title deeds. And, but the more we get into property, the more you start to learn what you can and can't do and ways to actually make money from property. And I think it's an exciting thing.
It's just you and me having a conversation here. What are 3 ways we can make money in property?
Okay, so I shouldn't talk too much. This morning before I came here, I actually did a viewing this morning with a property I own myself. Okay. And I've been given an offer on the property which will allow me to capture the appreciation that my property has created. I'm tempted, and we're negotiating, so we'll see. Okay. But like that's a property that over time is gained value. Okay. And I got it into it in maybe, if you want to say, a strange way. It took a lot of time, effort, and physical work, but it didn't take as much money, and so which is fine. Every property I bought, I pretty much have bought in a different way than the one before. So for me, I think you need to look at, just because this way worked today doesn't mean it's always going to work, especially in Zim. Yep. If you're not flexible, you maybe should be somewhere else, because Zim I think has taught us that over the years, to be flexible. Obviously, rentals are a big way that we unlock value in a property. We don't always achieve it here, but we like to try to achieve somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 years of rents is equal to the value of a property. Okay. So roughly. Some people can achieve it in 8 years, some people it takes 12 to 15 years, depending on the property. And so, you know, for me, I've always thought it would be a great plan if you buy one property, you rent it out for 10 years, and you do nothing but hold that money. Then you should be able to buy another property, the equal property with that money. Gotcha. And then if you do it again, you went from having one house to 2, from 2 to 4, from 4 to 8 houses. Gotcha. And you've only paid for the first one. Yes. So I always thought that would be a very nice plan. So the rentals is a big thing. And then also, sometimes you can get short-term, like what people call flipping, where you can come into a property, especially if it's been run down. You can put a bit of work into it, turn it from a place that's not attractive into a place that is attractive. And, you know, maybe you buy a property for 60K, put 10K in it, and maybe you can sell it for 100K. And so that's sort of short-term appreciation, if you want to, but with work, with effort and work. So those are probably 3 quick ways. And then also, a lot of times, if you have got property, even in this environment, you probably have an ability to borrow against them. And so, you know, if there's an opportunity that comes up, there's a way. I mean, a few years ago, my mother-in-law had a heart attack, and we had to rush her to South Africa on a medical plane. And the medical society wasn't paying for the plane up front. And so we had to pay up front. And where do you come up with 15,000 cash? Yeah. And so we went to the lawyer. The lawyer drew up a promissory note based on my property. We gave it to the medical flight company, and they accepted that. And we got the flight done because we had to get her to save her life. Absolutely. And then once we got back, we then sorted out the details. So in that case, I was able to leverage a property I owned against a service that I desperately needed. So, you know, that can be a thing too. Yeah, so I think those are 3 sort of ways. And then I think also the more you in the process, the more you start learning what's good, what's not good. You know, I think one of the biggest problems with flipping a house is people really, really like their style. Yeah. And their style may not be a public style, a public, what do you say, a style that the public generally likes. And then also people can also easily overdevelop a property. So you can take a property and put so much into it that you'll never get your money back. Sure. I had a property in Douglasdale recently that a couple years ago was thatched, it caught on fire. And it was a little 1-bedroom. So I said, look, well, let's add a couple walls. And we built it out, and it's a 3-bedroom house that we just leased out a couple weeks ago. And we tiled the whole place so that it's nice and clean. Yep. Used the same paint throughout, recessed lights, whatever. And it looks very nice, very neat, very clean. But we didn't go, you know, we didn't put in a whirlpool bath or, you know, marble countertop or whatever. You know, we didn't like go crazy because all of a sudden you price yourself out of the market. Sure. So yeah, I think doing something that's good for the public. Because you know you've got a limited number of people who can buy, and if you paint your house bright yellow, you've just taken that limited number and you've reduced it. Correct. I mean, as an example. Correct. Yeah.
All right. In my closing question to you, What would you say? You are Jonathan now. What would you say to 30-year-old Jonathan? You're having a conversation with him now. What are you going to tell him about real estate?
Yeah, I think in those hyperinflation days, I would have found some US dollars and bought some houses. I mean, yeah. I know guys that bought houses for $10,000
Yep.
and
Yep.
sold them 2 or 3 years later for 110K.
Yeah.
So I think when the madness was happening and we didn't know what was next, I think I wish I had invested even at that stage already into, my first company was not my first company, but my first company with Zimbabwe was an export company, curios and things. And I came to this country with about 20K that I could have probably taken that money and bought something back then. And yeah, I wish I'd done that because that money would have served me very well. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, I don't really believe too much in regrets and going back.
Sure.
But yeah, I guess if I could really go back and tell myself something like buy what is it, GameStop on
Yeah.
this date and sell it on this. There's a couple of those that would have been
Sure,
amazing to
sure,
do.
sure.
But yeah, I think I've always loved property, but I think we came from a poor family, so we didn't think about buying property for much of my life. And so I think I would have thought, with hard work, you're going to come to good place. And so start looking for these opportunities early. And I think, yeah, I'm actually trying to buy a house in the States right now. So if I sell this property that I talked about this morning, I think I'll use that money to pay off this house in the States and just have a few places where I've got money in different places, But yeah, and the thing is, I think the hard part is if you could have I could have told myself a lot of stuff that was going to happen in Zim.
Yeah.
And I think it would have put me right off.
Yeah.
And so I think we got through it, but I think we got through it partly because we didn't know what was coming next, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And it made us, I think, more flexible, made us more resourceful, and yeah, so I think what we've learned was good for us, but it was painful at the time, I think, for all of us. But yeah, I think the way I see property now is similar to I saw it when I was younger, but much more as a security thing and much more as a long-term investment. And I mean, I think there's a proverb out there that says the best time to plant a fruit tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
Wow.
So
Sure.
for me, I believe in bloom where you're planted, wherever you are, you put in what you can, and you let God worry about the rest,
Jonathan,
Thank
I
you.
thank you for those insights and that inspiration. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an operative here in the Bulawayo market, Jonathan Thompson, from land development to real estate sales. He's got his pulse on the finger in this town, and it's a great pleasure for him to share his wisdom and the stuff that he's learned. I hope you're going to pick up something and apply it into your lives. On the other side of this, I'm going to sit up straight. I'm going to mind my P's and Q's because I've got a lawyer joining us to make sure that all of our property transactions are legal, compliant, and safe. And I'm going to give it only 3 minutes because I can only afford 3 minutes because he's going to charge me $10,000 an hour. But I'll see you on the other side of this very short break. Thank you for your time and attention. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kura Chihota. I'm a regional realtor in the SADC region. I operate out of offices in Johannesburg, but freely trade in this wonderful SADC region of ours, Botswana, Zambia, and here in Zimbabwe. I came through to Bulawayo, the second city in Zimbabwe, and I really wanted to give you a view. You perhaps have seen my TikToks. I say hi there, I'm in X, Y, and Z. But our thing is really to put information in people's hands so that you can connect with it, that you can be safe. Now, if we're talking about real estate and real estate transactions, I think our ultimate conversation has to end in how do we make sure that our investment is protected, we're compliant, we're legal, and we end up with that wonderful thing called a title deed. So I could find nobody better in the City of Kings and a Queen to have a she's going to describe herself. I'm sure she's an admitted attorney, conveyancer, ntontoni, and it's not Sinikiwe, it's Dikiwe. How are you doing, Dikiwe?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic, very much.
Thank you.
You are, I'll say you're a lawyer, but then in a lawyer, you're at court, you're conveyancing, everything from end to end.
Those who know me know I don't like titles. I always call myself a citizen of Zimbabwe.
Amen.
But with the privilege of a legal training background, so I'm into conveyancing, I'm into real estate management or admin, whatever you call it. But basically commercial law is my area of expertise.
Were you not coming from court before in this morning?
I was in court, and you know, when I'm in court, it's all about civil matters and commercial. Sure.
So thank you very much for running from there to make it to join us. I'm most grateful for that.
Thank you for having me.
I hope my invoice for your time is not too much, because I'm a poor guy. I'm a man of straw.
Wow. Wow. So we'll try to make it reasonable.
All right. Now, what's the difference between an attorney and a conveyancer?
Very minor difference. An attorney is someone who's admitted and he has got a practicing certificate and is entitled to appear in court. And any, whether it's a police station or any court in Zimbabwe, right? And then a conveyancer is an attorney, the registered attorney, who does property transfer.
There we go.
This person is authorized to draft title deeds, sign them, to transfer properties from person A to person B, right? So a conveyancer is really an attorney who's registered, but with that extra qualification to actually do property transfers.
So all conveyancers are attorneys, but not all attorneys are conveyancers.
Yes, that's correct. Because someone may be an attorney, a registered attorney, but not having done conveyancing. Because for you to be a conveyancer, you have to go through the course.
Yes.
You have to go through the course, pass and qualify, and then when you get registered as an attorney, you can get registered as an attorney who's a conveyancer and a notary public.
Got you.
Right? There are those three. Why particular they separate is because these are very specific and very crucial and important. So that for your own public confidence. Because, you know, if I'm going to transfer your property, you know I have done conveyancing. I know the basics, right? I know what is required. And I am authorized to sign as a conveyancer to say this title deed can safely be transferred from this person to this person because I have done the training.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it. Now, when we're talking about transfer,
Yep.
that's going from Nikiwe to Kura.
Yep.
What are the processes that are involved for the sale of a property to go through the deeds office?
Right, Kura, first things first, there's something called due diligence, right? First things first, before we even transact, right? I'm interested in a property, I have to go and check, does Kura own this property? Before I even get to the point of drafting an agreement of sale. Is this property encumbered with any issues to say, I have taken a mortgage before, I forgot to cancel, or I owe this person and they've placed a caveat over my property so that it doesn't get transferred before I honor that debt. So all these things are checked. You go to deeds office and say, Kura owns this property, it's under title deed number so and so. Does he own the property and what's there? Is it a clean deed or it's an encumbered deed in our language. Encumbered means it's got caveats or it's got mortgages that are not cancelled or
So-
any issue hanging on
So
it.
let me put a pause there.
Yeah.
If I have bought a property
Yeah.
and I've got money from NBS to buy it, I've bought it on mortgage,
Yes.
NBS puts a stamp on that title deed
Yes.
and say that Kura owes us,
So much money
Right.
for the mortgage.
so I can't now go and sell that property without having cleared this 100,000
Okay. You can sell that property on condition, right?
on condition.
Yes, because that mortgage is registered and it must be honored. So to make sure that it gets honored, that's why NBS has endorsed a stamp on the title deed to say, whatever you want to do, you can transact with this property, but please bear in mind NBS has a very special interest on this property,
Here we go.
right?
Okay.
So whoever is then interested in the property will now have to know that NBS needs to be taken care of, or this mortgage needs to be taken care of before all the money is liquidated. You make that mistake, then you stand to be challenged by this person who has made this endorsement. So most important thing first is to check on such endorsements.
And where do we check on those endorsements?
Yes.
Where do we do that?
You can go to deeds office as long as you have a title deed over the property. And it's also important these days to actually go to the local authority where the property is located. If you are here in Bulawayo, go to City of Bulawayo, go and check the rates, how they are like at the local authority. Are they paid up? Is there anything outstanding? So that when you are now drafting the agreement of sale, right, you can now capture and say, okay, you are transacting, you are selling this property to person B, but there is so much owing at City Council. It shall be the obligation of the seller to clear the rates outstanding or the bills outstanding, so that as the new person acquiring the property, you don't inherit debts that are not yours.
Sure. So this is getting to sound a bit daunting if I've never done it before.
Not really, but these are just basic checks that you can actually do. You can employ a lawyer to do that, or you can go there for yourself. These are public offices, these are public documents, there's nothing to hide. If you're interested in a property, you can't buy property like you're buying bread. You know, when I'm buying bread, all I want to know is it fresh? Right? If it's fresh, then I buy, I go home, I throw the receipt, it doesn't matter to me.
Sure.
But when it comes to property, I am particular, right? This is investment, remember? And this is going to last for years to come. And
Yes.
this is a public record you are creating, right? And these are people's interests or bankable securities that you're talking about.
So I've done the due diligence,
Yep.
everything munati, then what?
Right, you have done your due diligence, you are now aware of the status of the property, you know the registered owner of the property. That's one other important thing. Deal with the registered owner of the property, no one else. Right? So then from there you proceed to do an agreement of sale. You've agreed on the prices and everything, and now you are able to put whatever agreement you have made with the seller into writing.
Yes.
Right? The seller has agreed to sell, you have agreed to buy, you have agreed on the purchase price, you have done your due diligence, you know what is owing, now you can reduce that to writing. I'm selling to this person, I'm selling to Kura for this so much, and he is going to make sure all the bills that are outstanding are cleared. He is going to pay the mortgage that is outstanding at NPS and clear the mortgage at this office so that transfer can happen smoothly. Right? And in the agreement of sale, remember there are compulsory sections that are supposed to be there. Right? Sections like who's going to pay capital gains tax? Capital gains tax at law is payable by the seller
Yes.
from the proceeds of the what? Of the sale. So a clause has to be there to say this person is going to pay capital gains tax and will present themselves at ZIMRA with the documents for capital gains tax assessment.
Okay.
So you have to have all those. And if it's a deed of sale, you are going to pay in installments. I always hear people mentioning this term, and someone may be wondering what is a deed of sale. It's where property is being paid in installments. It's a must that an agreement of sale be in writing. Right? If you're going to pay in installments, there is a must clause that you are to write down the agreement of sale so for purposes of reference and the breakdown to show you have paid so much deposit, you've paid the installments up to the end. Right? So there you are, you have got your agreement of sale. After the agreement of sale, the next stage is to actually clear these outstandings that I have mentioned. First, ZIMRA, capital gains tax clearance. You're supposed to present your papers, get assessed. How much tax are you supposed to pay?
The tax, can I not just skip it or ignore it? Or?
No, you cannot.
Oh.
No, you cannot. It's actually a statutory compliance. You cannot, remember there's a clause that says ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
Ouch.
Right, so you're not excused from complying with the law.
Okay.
So you comply with the laws of the land by presenting your paperwork to say, I've sold this property, how much tax am I supposed to pay? Right? So your assessment will come through. There's a procedure there. You're supposed to attend interviews and submit all the documents online. Then once you have been assessed, you pay the tax, you get your capital gains tax clearance certificate. Once you have obtained that one, you have a duty to obtain the rates clearance certificate. You get that from the local authority. So if you're here in this area, you get that from City of Bulawayo or from Umkuza. So you attend there, they give you your rates clearance certificate, you make your payments. Once it's ready, then you complete your file for transfer, right? The conveyancer will draft the draft deed, place all those documents inside, including your IDs, including the agreement of sale, including the tax clearance certificate, including the rates clearance certificate, and the declarations. Then stamp fees is supposed to be paid at deeds office, right? Deeds office will charge you a percentage of the value as stamp fees for processing those documents.
Yeah.
You lodge your file at deeds office. They go through it to check if you have captured all the details correctly, if you have done the right thing, if you have complied with all the laws, which includes capital gains, which include rates. If those documents are not there, no transfer will go through, right? But if you have fully complied, then you get your new title deed in your new names.
So a title deed is not something that's cooked at the lawyer's office?
No. Cooked. I'm trying to find the definition of the word cooked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I not just come to the lawyer's office, give you 20 grand and say, can you produce me some title deeds tomorrow?
No, I'll tell you it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight.
Okay.
I can't just do it in my office. It involves all the other relevant departments. Okay. So I can't do a legal title deed. Unless if you want a fake one, of course.
Yeah.
But I know, talking about real estate, you're talking about serious issues,
Absolutely.
serious investment.
Yes.
So you want something that is legal.
Yeah.
So you have to go through the process that I have mentioned, right? If you're owing mortgages, go ahead and clear and make sure those stamps
Sure.
are cancelled out at the deeds office before you get your new title deed.
Sure.
So the lawyer just doesn't sit there as a conveyancer and you just produce a fake deed. No, it's not supposed to happen at all.
No, I was being mischievous and asking the question that way.
Yeah.
But I do know of people who've never transacted in property before.
Yep.
They've got their bonus this week,
Yep.
and they've got 20,000. They will go to Walter's office and say, "I want that stand. Here's the money. I want to
Yep.
pick up my title deeds." At least they know that there's a title deed that comes out, but they don't understand the steps that you've done behind.
That's correct. Yeah, it's really a process to get a title deed. It just doesn't happen overnight.
Sure. So in our Zimbabwe, we have a lot of people who are stuck somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
They've gone to a site and they've seen a board, they've seen a site plan, and you're told you can buy this stand and that stand and what have you, and they enter into an agreement of sale.
Yep.
And they say, no, at the end of 18 months, you'll finish paying. But at the end of the 18 months, the developer hopefully has sold enough stands to create enough money to do the servicing.
Yes.
And he finds in the middle that you're in the process. So Nikiwe Developers is doing the Nikiwe deal.
Yep.
Kura comes and buys, and I've put down 5,000, and we're now paying 500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, I lose my job. I want to move to South Africa, and I'm going to say, Nikiwe Developers, I don't want to continue with this agreement. I'm now selling to Tafadzwa, and I cede my rights. Is that a correct description of what a cession is in terms of our property transactions in Zimbabwe?
I'll be a law lecturer just for 1 minute
Please.
at no cost.
Please.
Okay. They always say in a property transfer, a transfer follows the cause. Okay, and you cannot transfer a better right than you own.
Yes.
Right? So it simple answers your question to say, okay, that's not a proper cession.
Right.
Right? You have bought. You are in the process of what?
Concluding
Of
an agreement.
concluding, or you are complying with an agreement of sale, with the terms of an agreement of sale.
Yes.
You haven't had the session as yet yourself.
Aha.
You're still complying with the terms of the agreement of sale.
Aha.
So you still don't have a right, or you literally don't have a real right over this property.
Correct.
So you don't have the rights to dispose.
Do I have a personal right? You said a real right? Real right is against the whole world registered in the deeds office. Do I have a personal right?
Well, in a way, now that you have parted with some monies, you've got a right of some sort, a personal right of some sort over that property. But remember, a personal right doesn't override a real right.
Gotcha.
Right? So at the end of the day, in your pursuance of your personal rights, right, it's now up to you and the land developer to say how best can you be cushioned from losses. Because now that the unforeseeable has happened, the first point of call is revisiting the agreement of sale itself. Because the agreement of sale should foresee such things
Yes.
happening.
Yes.
And we're saying, if it happens, what is the recourse? What are we going to do should you fail to pay? Okay, or what is our understanding? Are we amending the agreement to suit what has happened to you? Or are we following the breach clause, or what? Where are we here? So we then follow what's in the agreement. If there's nothing, if the agreement is silent, then what is important is to make amendments to the agreement, or make an addendum, or a cancellation if need be, to say, okay, due to unforeseeable circumstances, there's now need to cancel this agreement because Kura is no longer able to pay for the balance that he is owing due to circumstances beyond his control. These are the terms of the cancellation. All right? Right. Then you detail those terms and cancel that agreement. So you cannot then cede those rights because you haven't complied with the terms of yes.
Gotcha.
So you then do that cancellation agreement and follow the terms. So yeah, we can't talk of cession then.
Okay. So what is a valid cession and what are its elements?
Right. A valid cession is where you have complied with all the terms
Okay.
of that cession agreement. And once you have done that, you are supposed to comply again. Once you want to transfer those rights that you have in that cession, you then have to comply with the laws again. Back to due diligence, check if you have cleared your rates, you have cleared your debts, and you are able to sell this property to another person.
Okay.
Right? That is done, and still with the cession, it complies with capital gains tax clearance.
Apo.
Yes.
That's where
You
we're getting
have to
stuck.
comply.
Yes.
You
Yes.
still have to comply. That's what the law regime says currently. Comply. Go and pay capital gains and obtain your tax clearance certificate. If you go to local authorities like the city of Bulawayo, there is no session that you are going to do without a tax clearance certificate. So once you have obtained that tax clearance, together with your agreement of sale, together with your cession agreement, your IDs and all, you have cleared your rates, then you attend at the local authority, your local housing office, right, to say, I have sold this property to this person, I have cleared my tax, I have cleared my arrears at the rates and water, I'm now ready to have this property changed from my names to this person who has bought.
Okay.
Then they will check their checklist and make sure you have complied, then they will create a new cession agreement.
Thank you. So I am Chihota, under Chief Chihota there in Mausekwa.
Yeah.
Somebody has phoned me and they said, we've got a hectare for you.
Yep.
It's under the sub-book. Give us $1,000. Come with your ID. We'll sign an affidavit. We'll give you a receipt. Surely I've bought land under a sub-book deal and Jesebo.
Kura, you should just go straight to the police station with that person. and get them arrested.
Why? They're giving me cheap land. They're selling me land at $1,000 where developers want $10,000.
There's nothing cheap there. Cheap is expensive, eh? Cheap is expensive, right? Communal land is not for sale. Government land is not for sale unless specifically you have entered into the agreement of sale, maybe with the Ministry of Lands, I don't know. But this is communal land you're talking about. This is under a chief. It becomes communal land. So you are governed by the relevant law, and that land is not for sale.
I hear a lot of hearts breaking around Zimbabwe because people are doing sub-book deals. So how are you telling us that it's not for sale and that deal is not legal? It's happening every day.
Sure, it's happening every day, but it doesn't make it legal. I'm not denying the fact that it's happening. I've heard about it. I've attended to people who have actually been duped. That's the term. Yeah, but it doesn't make them legal. You're not supposed to buy land from Sabu.
Okay, Police, sorry. How can I regularize it?
Okay. There's a procedure on how this land is supposed to be allocated in terms of the Act, Communal Land Act. If you read through, you approach the local leadership, they will call a meeting in the community to say, so and so is looking for a place to build their home or their homestead or to provide a roof over their family, and we know this person or whatever. Then they will ask their questions. The community will ask their questions, make their contributions, and finally come to an agreement. And when they do these meetings, remember they write minutes, or they are supposed to have minutes, which is a point of reference, right? They will write their minutes and sign them to say, we have duly agreed as the community of Mahusekwa to give Kura Chihota a piece of land in our village, right? So that's how you get allocated land.
But the allocation is for me to occupy, but I will never have a title deed. There's never a title deed written Kura Chihota, District of Mahusekwa.
You can't have a title deed. The substitute to the title deed will be a homestead card, which you use to pay your taxes. You can't have a title deed. So this is not like real. It is a part of real estate, but it's not really real because you can't obtain title over it.
Okay.
This is state land, or this is communal land. It's ancestral land. It doesn't have title deeds.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
So in your practice, I want to hear stories of things that have gone wrong, where people have gotten pick of this. You've got client confidentiality, but what's the learning point for Zimbabweans that we've got it so wrong? If you could just put a microphone out of the window and say, dear Zimbabweans, when you buy property, please do 1, 2, 3 to keep us safe.
Thanks, Kura. I always try. I've got another program with a local radio station. I always try to do that, just to do awareness, especially in this festive season. Like you have said, most of us are getting bonuses, most of us are getting these deals, and the next thing you are thinking of is, let me get a property, right? First things first, the most important thing to do is due diligence.
Sure.
Right? If Kura is saying he's offering this property to me to buy, does he own the piece of land or not? Deal with the actual registered person, right? Or if you know the person, if they can't be available, let them have a power of attorney, but I always don't encourage powers of attorneys that are not verified. Verify with the person. Did you give so-and-so a power of attorney to stand on your behalf as the seller?
Okay, I didn't want to go deep, but a power of attorney, and the reference I have in my head is the blank check, but some people have grown up never knowing what a blank check actually means.
Of course.
So a power of attorney is my cousin in Australia is not physically able here to come and sign the documents. He says, Kura, I'm giving you power of attorney to act like me. And I can sign leases, I can sell the property and what have you. That's a very dangerous thing.
It is, because as the purchaser, I will contact you over the phone. I don't know if the Kura who's selling the property is the Kura that I'm talking to over the phone. That's where the dangers are.
Yes.
We have seen most people come back, especially from the diaspora, come back and say, I never gave anyone a power of attorney. And you look at the power of attorney, it was actually authenticated way in some country where this person is not even located. A person who produced their passport and say, look where I was at the time that this power of attorney was signed. And it creates a case against you, and you have bought a property using a power of attorney, and now things have to reverse and go back, and the property has to revert back to the owner.
Wow. Wow.
So those are some of the dangers that we have seen with powers of attorney. They really pose a problem. We're not saying it's a totally useless document, no, but we're saying watch out and be cautious.
Sure.
Right. The important thing, as I have said, when you're buying property is due diligence. Buy from the owner, know the encumbrances that are there, know the perimeters of the property. Fine, I'm buying this house, but where are the beacons? Where does it start? Where does it stop? I have to know all that. Know how to read maps, right? If the map is saying you're buying this property and it's on beacon A, B, D, E, I have to know where are the beacons for A, B, D, E, and what happened to C. You understand?
Yes.
There might be a subdivision of some sort where it passes through C and it has been sold to another person. So you need a person who has that knowledge, who knows how to read these things. We always run away from lawyers and say lawyers are expensive, but tell you what, as I said, cheap is expensive. You might go the shortcut, but then you find yourself having to go back in the long run to say, lawyer, can you clean this up for me? I don't understand how this happened. I thought everything was clean. But at that time, it will be too late.
Got you.
Yeah. So those are the things to watch out for. And actually physically going to the ground to check on the property. Don't just hear there's a house in Nkulumane and you don't even know what color it is, how many rooms it is it Jura walled, is it walled, is it gated, is it on asbestos, is it on zinc? You haven't seen the property, you are just excited, trigger happy to buy a property which you don't even know. So please go physically and check. What if it has structural defects that are not even mentioned in the agreement of sale, that are not even being mentioned by the agent or the person that is selling the property to you? So get to know the property, get to be satisfied first, even with the paperwork. Go physically to the local authority and check their rates record, their water record, are they owing anything or not, right? Then once you are satisfied that everything is clean or that everything you can handle, whatever you find you can handle, then you are free to then go ahead.
Okay.
And also physical inspection of the document that is being said to show ownership. If it's title deeds, there is this disease Kura where people want to provide a photocopy that is not even certified, right? I don't know whether it's a copy of a fake or, right? Then you want to use that to produce an agreement of sale. Never do that. Look for the original document. And when you are paying in installments, you can't leave that document with the seller. It has to be with a neutral office.
Yes.
That's why you are encouraged to use lawyers, because the lawyer will now play a dual role to protect both interests,
Yes. Yes.
both the purchaser and the seller. I can't release that document until purchase price has been paid to the seller.
Yes.
I can't release that document to the purchaser if the seller hasn't gotten their money in full. Those are the rules, and we are accountable people. If I mess up, I get disbarred. Right? So know who to give that document when you are paying in installments. So I would say those are the points, those are the things to watch out for when buying a property.
Okay. And in conclusion, should I buy a property in my name, in me and my wife's name, in a family trust, in a company? Which one is safest for me in Zimbabwe?
Wow, very beautiful question. And you're opening a topic for another day.
Please.
Okay, that's very complex. Depending on what you want to see.
Okay.
If it was Nigiwe buying a property, I would not buy a property under my name. I've come of age and I'm no longer interested in having a property under my name because now I'm doing what you call estate planning, right? Whatever I've worked for, do I want to leave a real legacy for my beneficiaries or not? Because if the property is under my name, remember when I pass away, this property will have to be registered at the master's office, and whoever is going to inherit will pay tax again on the property, which is 4% of the total value of what I own, which actually can come out to a lot. Remember, 4% of everything you have worked for.
Yes. Yes.
It's a lot.
Yes.
So to me, it's not ideal for me to have the property in my name.
Okay.
But to another person who doesn't have a property as yet, it's ideal for them to have a property in their name, all right? And talking about real estate planning, I've seen family trusts working for people, because you are creating an institution that will hold this property for the benefit of the beneficiaries that are listed in that document. And whoever dies really doesn't matter. You don't have to be registering the property and paying the tax.
Yes,
The next
yes,
person takes over. They die, you pay tax
Yes.
again. So people create family trusts to protect their interests. So whatever your interest may be, or whatever is good for you in those circumstances, I would say weigh your options, or get this wisdom. Get someone to explain to you the advantages and the disadvantages depending on your situation before you actually do an agreement of sale, to say, is it you in person that is buying the property, or is it you as representative of the family trust that is buying this property, or is it your company that is paying that is buying the property, or you're buying it on behalf of minor children, you know. So once you make that decision, then find a person who can explain that to you. I tell you, it's an episode, it's a whole episode that we can't finish now.
I really appreciate that. Is there value in using a lawyer in a property transaction? You guys are expensive.
Yeah, sure, we provide a service. Yeah, there is value in using lawyers, because like I've said, there are checks that we are subjected to, right? If I mess up in a transaction, or if I don't do what is expected of me, and a complaint is raised against me, I tell you, you don't want as a lawyer to be receiving those complaints. So we try by all means to do our best and to make sure we follow the instructions that we have been given. So there is value in using the lawyer. The lawyer is trained, the lawyer is a conveyancer. They are the authorized person to do the transfer for you. They know what is there to capture in an agreement of sale. I have spoken about the deed of sale. If you don't know how to produce one, go to a lawyer, they will produce it for you. They know what is supposed to be detailed in there. There are legal provisions like ZIMRA that you can skip, right? You have to state who's responsible for capital gains and who's going to keep the money. It's a deed of sale, is going to be paid in installments. Tax is due on the last installment. And who's going to keep that money until it's paid to ZIMRA? Those are very important clauses that an expert in the position of a lawyer can actually handle.
Ma'am, you've been a breath of fresh air. I thank you. My viewers across the world who've been watching this and following this, and they're going to watch it on YouTube ad infinitum. There you've got it. I've saved you $1,000 by getting the great advice from Nikiwe. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Kura.
All right. Guys, this has been the Bulawayo edition of Kura Chihota and Friends. I hope you found value. I hope you've been taking notes and can make sure that you can do your property transactions wherever you are safely. From me, I'm going to say hi there from Bulawayo. This has been fun. Thank you and goodbye.